Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Thursday, September the 11th edition of our video devotionals, and we appreciate you being with us today, and hope your Thursday is going well. Well, it is September the 11th, and of course we know that this is a date that's been etched in not only American history, but world history. 24 years ago on this date, we were attacked here in America, in New York City and Washington, D.C. And then, of course, a plane went down that was more than likely targeted for a landmark somewhere in America. All in all, 3,000 people were taken out. And, of course, the results that have affected the world because of it last unto this day. And then yesterday, as almost everyone is, I'm sure, aware of this event that happened, Charlie Kirk was assassinated yesterday there on the college campus there in Utah. So we're going to take what I've got here in the Bible and apply to that event that happened yesterday and to the September the 11th observance that we're dealing with today. And so I want to give you something that I wanted to pass along today, okay? We do appreciate all of you who watch the videos, of course. We appreciate any acknowledgments, anything like that at all. All right, so let me give you what I have here in Ezekiel chapter 8 in my reading today. I'm going to start in verse number 14, and it says here, "Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Then said he unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worshipped the sun." That's the S-U-N, not the Son of God, the sun toward the east. "Then he said unto me, Hast thou seen this, O son of man? Is it a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here?" Now notice here's the phrase I want to point out for today. "For they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger." The me there is God. "And lo, they put the branch to their nose." Now we're going to stop there. The phrase I want to unfortunately emphasize today is the fact that these abominations are going on. And if you notice here in our reading, it's talking about the Lord's house. We're not talking about somewhere in the land away from the Lord's house, but literally that what would be the most holy of places, the most revered and respected in terms of God's place, if you please. So here in the house of the Lord, and specifically, we find here that we see there's 25 men with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, but they're not worshiping the Lord. They're not performing deeds that would be associated with the house of the Lord in worship and so on. But rather, they are worshiping the sun, and they've got their backs toward the temple. Then he said, here's the scenario that plays out with such wickedness and abomination. It says, "For they have filled the land with violence." Well, yesterday we saw perhaps one of the worst displays of violence that we've ever seen in the world, and certainly in America. There's a young man, 31 years of age. He primarily goes to college campuses and has, dialogue with people. And because of his stand for what he stands for, truth, and Lord Jesus Christ has a strong testimony, his wife and himself for the Lord, and some gunman that no doubt is in conflict with his beliefs and his stance. Instead of coming to a microphone and debating and making his point, and Charlie Kirk making his, then he decides that he's going to take a literal shot at Charlie Kirk, and unfortunately, it was a fatal shot. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I'm very moved by the fact that someone would do that, and yet we're seeing the violence and the increase of violence in America, and not just violence against just random people, like in Charlotte, my state here, North Carolina, where that young woman was killed and mercilessly there on that light rail train system there. And then, of course, just we see it all the time. And then, of course, on today's date, of course, we know that terrorists and 3,000 people were killed, and all the damage that went with that, all the havoc. So what I want to say is this: when we stand for right and we stand for God, we're always in jeopardy of our lives. It's just the way it is. Evil is in the world, and where there's great violence, there is great abominations. There is a direct conflict with God, with His Word, and with His people. And we've just seen this yesterday. And of course, we are remembering the fact that 24 years ago that we and myself have lived during this time, and remember very distinctly where I was at and when it was happening and all of that. So all I want to say is this: if you stand for Jesus Christ, and you stand for right, and you stand for God's people, and you're faithful to His cause, and you're faithful to the house of God, and faithful to the people of God, then let me say something: continue, continue, continue. On this day, do something to stand up for truth. On this day, do something to promote the truth. On this day, do something to witness for the Lord. Take some opportunity, do something, and be a voice. Just like Charlie Kirk was a voice, then let's just be thousands and millions of voices that stand up for right. And you know what? If a life is taken because of the truth, and you know what? God knows that. You know that. And when you're a child of God, there's heaven, and there's the reward of standing for Him. And fortunately, to live only 31 years on this planet and do what He did, of course, had a huge impact, and He still will. But we that are alive, let's go ahead and say, you know what? We continue on. We won't cower in fear. We're just going to step up our game. We're just going to step up and say, you know what? We're going to do what we can to stand for right and do what we can. And of course, remember people whose lives were taken. Charlie Kirk's is one. That was yesterday. On September the 11th, 2001, there was 3,000 there. And there's constantly people on this planet and in this country that, yes, are murdered and are the victims of violence, but some are directly, their lives are taken because they stand for Jesus, they stand for truth. But let's continue to stand and do what we can. Certainly be careful, certainly be vigilant, but you know what? Do not step down, step it up. And let's do what we can. So that's what I wanted to speak about today. Be in prayer for Charlie Kirk's family. As a nation, we're all affected by it. As we think about September the 11th, we as Americans, we're all affected by what happened. Let's continue to go forward and do that which is right, and that would be the right thing to do. Stand for Jesus and stand for truth. Stand for what's right. They'll never win. They never win. And we're just going to go forward, okay? So that's what I have for you today. Lord willing, we'll see you back tomorrow on Friday. And thank you for watching.